Good evening. Well, it's that time of year when most high school students and parents are getting ready for the prom and making that decision of what college they're hoping to attend. With all of the recent news centered around the Sigma Alpha Epsilon fraternity at the University of Oklahoma, spewing racial chants on a bus that went viral and resulted in two students being expelled, to the highly publicized death of UVA student Hannah Graham, and last, to the images of the beating of university student Martise Johnson on St. Patrick's Day. Yet another alleged case of police brutality. What has college become these days? That's something we need to discuss. I'm Alvin King, and this is We Speak. Sigma Alpha Epsilon National Headquarters closed its chapter at the University of Oklahoma after a video emerged purportedly showing members of the chapter singing a racist chant. The video quickly gained visibility online. It was obtained and posted to Twitter, which describes itself as an alliance of black students organized for change within the campus administration atmosphere. The video shows young men on a bus chanting, "There will never be a nigger at SAE." So panel, first of all, have any of you seen this video that has emerged with the rant? You have? Do you think that the school was right for basically expelling two people and kicking the fraternity off campus?
Was it a two-person chant?
No, it was a bus filled
Right.
with several students,
Chanting,
but
only.
there were two individuals that were basically leading the chant. So those two students were expelled. There are many people who are saying that this wasn't racial.
What?
What-
How?
Well, because they're looking upon it as these being students and students having fun, and that's
Because
what.
that's fun.
That's not fun.
But I'm just
That's
saying.
my idea of fun.
Well, I mean, there are people who felt like they really did nothing wrong, that they were being teenagers doing what teenagers do, or college students do.
Even if
There's
they
a
were doing what teenagers
difference,
do,
college
it's
student,
wrong.
teenager.
You know?
Well, if you were a parent of a student who did something of this nature, how would you discuss this or reprimand if you decide to reprimand? How do you think you would handle your son or daughter?
If I were a parent, I would be completely upset and disappointed because before they got to the college level, I would have taught them what racism is, so that even if it was in a joking manner, that's something we don't do. So granted, I may be a part of SAE, I'm not doing this chant. So as the video went around the bus, they would not have seen me engaging in that, or they would have seen me trying to stop the chant. It's not right.
Do you think that, I feel like we, as African Americans or minorities, tend to kind of feel racism a bit more than, let's say, someone who may be Caucasian. That's a generalization. I cannot say that to be true, but I believe that that's probably the case. So I don't know that they really, do they have those discussions before an issue arises?
You mean a parent?
Yeah, does the parent even
Like a
think to
Caucasian
have,
parent?
yeah.
They
Absolutely
don't.
not. I
No.
doubt it. It's like a murderer
doubt it.
sitting down saying, "I'm a murderer and I want to talk to my kids about being murderers in the future. I want to make sure they don't do it." When you're,
Exactly.
When you're doing wrong and you're used to doing it, it's your way of life. And for them, racism is about them imposing their race and cultures on everybody else. So it's how they feel it should be. They feel entitled.
Well, and that was my point. I thought, my point about that is if the parents are, racist, they're definitely not going to have a conversation with their kids about going to school, not doing that. But even so, if they're paying for it, they don't even think about anything like this happening, so they wouldn't have that conversation with their kids.
I don't think it's a matter of all parents or all Caucasian parents being racist.
Exactly.
But being the way that this country was founded and there's history, there is such a thing as white privilege. So they don't have these types of conversations. However, ignorance is never an excuse. There's enough history out there that states what this country was founded on. And so that word is derogatory to a lot of people. It's offensive to a lot of people.
So in your opinion, the school did what they should have done by getting rid of the fraternity?
Yes, because I don't think that whole school is just SAE students.
Right.
So there are other people who you want their money, you want them to be educated, you want them to feel welcome when they come on this campus. Regardless if they attempt to pledge SAE or not, you want them to feel safe on your campus.
Were they drunk?
Yeah, there were no reports that I've read about them being drunk. They were just on a bus, riding, chanting.
Speaking how they feel.
Speaking
They were
how they
speaking
feel.
what they feel.
I
I
think they
guarantee
were
you,
coming-
each of them
And
believe
they-
that. They each believe that.
And they knew it was being videotaped.
I don't
They
think
knew it was
knew.
being videoed.
I don't think they knew.
I don't
Did
think they
they know?
cared.
I-
I don't
I-
think-
I-
That could be it
yeah, I don't
too.
think they
I
care.
don't think they cared.
And it seems like this is a chant that they do normally because a lot of the fraternities and sororities have their chants. So I guarantee you this is probably not the first time
And
they've chanted this.
there's another video that surfaced of a grandparent, an older lady, doing the chant, and she's laughing along. So it's
What did that
not
sound like?
It just came
Wait,
into
can
play.
you do it? What did that sound like?
I can't do it, but it wasn't very appealing.
Appease me.
But she
I haven't
seemed
heard.
very
I haven't
comfortable
seen
in
it.
doing it.
I haven't seen the video. I haven't heard it. Can somebody? Because it doesn't even feel like for me like it flows right saying it out loud. But if you can make it sound good,
I can't even say the word. I can't. It doesn't come out.
Well, there's
I just
more
tried.
discussion on that. You might be saying the word before the show is over. But do you think that a public apology is enough from the students who did it? Because the person who is supposedly the lead on the chant made a public apology. I don't know how that will play out or fare with the university. But do you think a public apology is enough?
I can't quite say anytime someone commits an act of racism that it's enough to just apologize, but I think it's the necessary thing to do, and I think it's a step in the right direction, whether it was meant or not. You know what I'm saying? It's a step.
And even if you apologize, you still have to suffer the consequence of what your actions.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Because words are powerful.
Even if you're
and-
sincerely sorry for what you did.
I agree with that.
Oh, those boys are much too much. Those boys are much too much. We got the spirit. We're hot. We can't be stopped. We got the spirit. We're hot. We can't be stopped. We're going to beat them and bust them. Beat them.
The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life.
Let's get a little bit rowdy. R-O-W-D-Y.
Take time to be a
One
dad
more time.
today.
Oh, those boys are much too much. Those boys.
Today I'm going to talk about Patty. Patty's best characteristics, she's stupid. Stupid and ugly. Everything she does is ugly. Watch her eat. Watch her stuff her face. Look at her. Greasy hair, dirty fingernails. It makes me want to vomit. Get a life, Patty. Thank you.
A 20-year-old by the name of Martise Johnson at the University of Virginia was apparently bloodied by state alcohol beverage control agents nearly 3 blocks from where he attends the school. The issue involves Martise having used and been denied access to Trinity Irish Pub because of a fake license. But after being very compliant, the bouncer at the club said that Martise was compliant, that Martise was not drunk. But in the end, Martise left the scene with 10 stitches in his head, and all of these, his students and friends watched this beating take place. This, to me, after seeing the images of what happened to him, of course, you go back to what's all in the news about all of this police brutality and all of this that's happening. But I also looked at that as being, you know, how this may possibly fare out, knowing that this person, with all these different people who watched it happen, knowing that it didn't happen the way the police said it did. I'm trying to figure out how could this possibly play out, looking at all the images and whatnot that we've seen on TV.
It's going to play out like every other case like it in the media. Rodney King got beat up by cops on tape. They had one story. We saw a completely different story. And they were all acquitted. They all got off. No penalty.
Same thing with Eric Garner. We all saw the video. He was choked out. He was begging for his life. He still died. They still got off.
And think about the other cases that we hear the stories, but we don't see the videos, but it's the same story every time. Police are just brutal when it comes to, is it a racial issue? Of course. Of course it is. Because we don't see those cases dealing with other races. I'm sure it probably happens. Maybe. Is it just not caught on tape? Is it not in the media? I don't know, but I know right now we're seeing it a lot with young black men.
We're seeing it a lot.
I'll say one of the issues is a lot of people say, and let me say all cops aren't bad, but there are a whole lot of them that are. A lot of people say that it's not a race issue, but whenever you look at the core, the principles of a lot of these police departments, there is racial profiling. So you can't possibly say it's not racial. I'm looking at you, and because of what you have on, because of what you're driving, because of the way you look, it's different from what I'm accustomed to. You have to make me feel comfortable as a black man. If I don't feel comfortable, I can do what I want to you, and I hide behind the badge.
Wow.
But I just think, isn't it sad that the way that when we were in high school and we looked back on what happened in the 60s with the fire hoses and all the things that people went through in the 60s, all the racial stuff, people in, say, 2030 are going to be looking back on right now, 2015, and, oh, this was at a time where, you know, all this racial profiling was going on with the cops and stuff. I think it's so sad that we're still dealing with this in 2015, because this is what's going to happen with the kids in the future are going to look back and read about that, you know? It's like this is history being made right now.
Right now.
And it's the same history, because we look back and we say, thank God it isn't as bad today
Thank God we're
as it
growing up
was
right now.
back
Kids
then.
are growing up now.
Thank
Yeah. But
God
it's
we're
not.
growing up. Thank God we don't have to go through that. But our struggle is still a struggle.
It's
It's
still
a
a struggle.
different struggle. So those kids 20 years from now, the next generation is going to say, oh, they went through so much, and I'm so glad we don't have to go through it. But it's going to be something new. It's just going to keep evolving differently.
It's like you said, it's the same thing, but in a different manner. The reality is, this is what's going on now is the same thing of the 60s. It's just back then it was lynching. Now it's the police actually shooting you and getting away with it. It seems like the same thing is recycled, but in a different way. It's staying with the times. It's changing with the times.
And I think it's the justice system, because there is no penalty for it. No one is being penalized for killing young black boys, for abusing,
And
for
so
police
it
brutality.
sets
It's
the
no penalty.
tone that says that
It's
you
okay.
can do it and get away with it
It's
if you're a
okay.
cop.
And
You
in
can get
addition-
away with it.
And in addition, we have a whole bunch of people with this revisionist history. They're not telling the actual facts of what happened. So there are a lot of people, I appreciate the younger generation wanting to say, oh, that was in the past, that's kumbaya, but there's a reality of the past that is very present in today's future. So if you don't know the past, you can never really get ahead.
There was a recent episode of Scandal that dealt with this similar issue. And the cop in question, he had a very powerful monologue at the end. And it wasn't that I identified with him, because as a black man, I didn't, you know, because I still have those same fears that I could go out and something could happen to me like that. But it kind of opened my mind a little bit more to maybe what a cop feels like, or what goes in what goes on inside their head maybe when they're in those situations. And not that I identify with it, or not that I feel any compassion in that sense. It just did make me a little bit more aware of their mentality as well when they hit the streets. So I don't
it
want
started with the base of entitlement.
Yeah.
It really started with him feeling that he was entitled.
Yeah. And the commentary that he gave, like, throughout his monologue was like,
It was amazing.
He meant it.
like he meant every word of
every
that.
word of it. Yeah.
And then I just saw yesterday that Taraji Henson from Empire was talking about how her son was profiled, and the cop stopped him because he was walking with his hands in his pocket.
Right.
and he was, she had to pull him out of school and transfer him to a different school. So now he's going to go to Howard. But I just think it's sad that we're still dealing with this in 2015. That we're still dealing with it right now when it started last year. You know, it should not still be going on.
So what do you think would bring change to all this? Or
If someone is made an example, it happens and there is justice that's served. It has not been the case yet. So,
None.
So as long as you just let cops keep getting away with it, then it sets the tone that you can get away with it. You can do whatever you want.
And I think there needs to be a change again in how police are, what's the word I'm looking for, are trained. They need some sensitivity training. I grew up in a time where the police officer, Kirk, walked the beat. We knew Kirk. We knew his family. So we need to get back to that place of having an actual dialogue and a conversation so that you know where I'm coming from. I know where you're coming from since you're policing my area. I think there needs to be more of a connection as opposed to I'm here to protect you people. They need to be a part of this whole community that they're supposed to be protecting. That's my opinion.
So training issue.
Training issue.
I think it's a justice issue for me. As long as they can keep doing it, keep getting away with it, and there is no penalty, they're going to keep doing it.
Right.
That's with anything. If we could go out and kill and rape and steal, we probably wouldn't. But people would do it. If there was no penalty for crime, people would do it.
Well, and that is part of the problem, as both you and Riley have said. There's been no policeman has been convicted, or no one has been charged for any of these things that have been happening to these young black men.
She keeps me warm. She keeps me warm. She keeps me warm.
My heart doesn't see race.
Love has no age limit.
That's my best friend.
We are neighbors and best friends.
We all have different religions, but we have universal love as well.
I love my sister.
Love is love.
Our family is no less than any other family.
Terrence Howard of the show Empire recently chatted with Entertainment Weekly about his sentiments surrounding the word featured in an upcoming scripts and plot lines. He said, "I'm mad that we don't say nigga in the show. Why is TV showing something different from the reality of the world? Why is there a thing called censorship that stops people from hearing everyday talk? We use it every day. It's become a part of conversation. Why aren't we using it on the show?" Well, first, Terrence, I don't use it every day. I'm using a lot on this show, ladies and gentlemen, because this is where we are and what we need to talk about. But I don't use the word. I find it offensive and derogatory. Everything negative about the word is in my spirit, so I don't use it.
You don't even say it well.
I don't even. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm like, I don't even say it well. I don't use the word. I can tell you don't use it.
Thanks, Shade. Thank you very much. No, I don't. Do you think the show will lose ratings if the words if they start using that word on the show?
No, I mean there's a difference obviously between the ER version of that word and the version that ends with an A. So
I need to say them together?
Yes. Exactly. So I mean, we have given the two completely different definitions, and the way one is used is in casual slang used amongst African Americans. But don't nobody else use it.
I think.
But I'm just saying that's what we are.
I completely understand the way he's speaking, where he's coming from. I choose not to use the word because I know of the many people who died because of that word or what it meant when people said it. Growing up in the South, I took the power out of that word. So I don't mind somebody calling me that because calling me is like calling me a 400-pound white woman. It does not apply. So I don't use it because I know what blood is a title in with that word. However, if someone says it to me, I'm not offended. I think that, again, I like that the world is trying to become more racially sensitive and all that, but it's not there yet. So I don't think we're ready. And as far as it being on the show is amazing without the word.
It doesn't need it.
We need it.
Yeah.
And I feel like, there is a possibility of, using the word in that show that doesn't need it, and then it's like it makes it okay for other people and then we're going to get mad when somebody Caucasian repeats something from the show, repeats a line from the show. And I think that's, I don't think it's necessary.
I think that sometimes, though, as a writer, this is part of what your version of the script is, right? Mm-hmm. So if a cast member gets that, like let's say, a monologue, the monologue could be 10 minutes long, right? It could be, right? But that is part of the narrative, right?
Right.
Just like that word could be part of the narrative for that character. Mm-hmm. Just like when Hakeem said what he said about Obama. People were outraged about that. However, that was part of what he was supposed to do. His character would say that. Right. So then it's like, are you taking away the integrity of the writing and the character? Because as an actor, you might feel that. We can't say this because the network won't let us say it. You know what I'm saying? So I'm sure it's a behind the scenes issue.
Yeah, it's a show that comes on at 9 o'clock on network television. And you know what? If this show was a movie, it would probably be an R-rated movie, and you would probably hear the F word all over it too.
Right.
Because that is,
the
way
reality of the environment.
The reality of that environment, they would use the F word,
right.
and they would use the N word. But that's not when this is not a movie. It's a TV show.
Listen,
I'm
not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying that I can understand where they're coming from, because that's probably what happened behind the scenes. Whether it's right or wrong,
It's almost like saying you got a show and it's an empire and you got rappers, but we're not going to have them wear big gold chains with diamonds.
Exactly.
It's a part of the culture. It's a part of the rap culture.
Yeah.
It happens.
Can you say that word on network television?
What's that?
Or on TV at all?
The
N-word, yeah.
It's not I don't know.
Only on HBO.
Like, do they say it on Martin?
I don't think on like channels like HBO or Showtime. But
like, was it ever said on a show like Martin?
I don't think so.
And
but it's not necessary to get the point across.
And I think that's part of the thing with Terrence Howard being an actor. He knew this was network television. If he wanted that to be a part of the show, he should have tried to get it to go to Showtime or HBO or wherever. Where it's, I get it that a lot of people use in their daily speech, but it's not needed at 9 o'clock in the evening. It's not needed.
And I don't think it's going to make, and I'm just picking him out, Hakeem a better actor if he used it. I don't think that's going to.
I don't think it has anything to do with the acting. I think it's just part of the story.
The culture.
It's like to make it seem more realistic.
Well, I think it's just keeping true with what his character would do. He's not a squeaky clean character. Nobody on that show is squeaky clean.
Right,
no one.
Right.
So you can't take away certain aspects sometimes just because it's not going to be good for television. I mean, obviously you have to, or it's not going to air. Right. But certain things you got to keep. Like Lucius punching Hakeem, he would have done that. That's who he is.
Well, I think I agree with you. I get Terrence Howard's point,
right?
And that and why he may want the word used. I just don't think that for public TV or for TV.
Is it necessary? Absolutely not.
Well, I just don't think it's. I don't
it's not necessary, but I can understand his perspective.
Yeah. But it's not needed.
Yeah, I can understand his perspective as an actor, though.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree with you on that. I do.
What if a disaster strikes without warning? What if life as you know it has completely turned on its head? What if everything familiar becomes anything but? Before a disaster turns your family's world upside down, it's up to you to be ready. Get a kit, make a plan, be informed today. Learn how at ready.gov.
Be free. Nice, Dad. Nice, Dad. Nice.
Charles!
Nice, Dad.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of siblings in foster care who'll take you just as you are.
Longtime Univision personality Roger Figueroa has been fired for remarks he made on the air recently about First Lady Michelle Obama. Figueroa said Obama looked like she was part of the cast of Planet of the Apes in a critique of her makeup and fashion choices. He also made the comments recently on Univision's daytime entertainment gossip show, El Gordo Flaca. In a statement, Univision said Figueroa, a 17-year network vet, was fired immediately. The Spanish language giant said Figueroa's remarks were completely reprehensible and in no way reflect Univision's value or views. Do you see this statement as racist or do you see it as aesthetic?
It could be both.
It could be both. But as a 17-year vet, you know better. That's the bottom line. You know better. And as a 17-year vet, you know that being called a monkey or an ape is very synonymous with black and blackface. And so it's no way that's just a crass, oh, that's just the funny. It was not.
Well, for those of you who don't know Figueroa, his personality or his character, if you will, on TV is about being in your face, saying, you know, what he wants to say, God rest her soul, like a Joan Rivers kind of person. But I think he bit off more than he could chew on this one. And the network reacted in the way they did. But a lot of people don't think that the network reacted in the best manner. They don't feel like he should have been fired for his comment.
I didn't see the picture. Did she look like something from Planet of the Apes?
She could never look like.
She means in general.
He meant in
well,
general.
she could. I mean, if she had a lace front wig that was like down real low.
Like Vera? If she looked like Vera.
I mean, I've seen some people where I thought to
They look like
myself,
animals.
they look like somebody out of Planet of the Apes. I saw somebody the other day, I was like, she looks like an avatar. I mean, there were just things, and she wasn't blue, and I wasn't making fun of blue people. Some people just resemble some certain people. I mean, it's
you
just.
sound like Raven Simone on the video.
But you know what, though? I think in light of what happened with Juliana Rancic on Fashion Police, I think that it's like now we're a lot more sensitive.
And hers wasn't even that harsh.
Well, no,
Give us a sense.
And we need to tell our audience what Juliana.
Well,
Rancic said.
Juliana Rancic said that what was
Zendaya.
she had faux locks, and she in her critique of her, I guess her outfit, she said that she looked like she smelled of weed and patchouli oil.
Patchouli oil.
So, you know, that led to a lot of backlash.
Because people with locks were offended, and then they said it was because she was black, and that she did.
And that whole show now is on hiatus.
And everybody quit.
Exactly.
Because Kathy quit.
Kathy
also.
quit.
Kelly quit first.
Kelly Osbourne quit.
Which I thought had nothing to do with what Juliana said. I think she was going to quit anyway. Exactly. But I just think like you said, we live in a very sensitive climate, and like you said also, he should know better. You know, you don't say everything, if you're a TV personality, even us, you don't say every single thing that you think.
You can't.
Because, you know, you got to think about, one, your career and what you're putting out there. But we live in a world that, yes, we have freedom of speech, but also we live in a very sensitive climate. So he should know better than to say something like that, one, about the First Lady, and she is black, but really about anybody of color. But I think people are really sensitive, but I think what he said is like, it could be an aesthetic thing, and it could also be a racial thing. Like, it's probably both.
She's just so gorgeous. People are always looking for her to have a bad day. And it doesn't even happen often.
This was yet another scandal moment for me. I think I'm obsessed with that show. But Abby on the show talked about how women are scrutinized so much more for their looks, what they wear, more so than what they do, that it's really probably very, very difficult to be a woman who is in a political position in this day and time. So everything that she does, even if she steps out of the house, you know, let's say she stepped out, God forbid, in her bath, you know, in a robe or something like that, they would critique that too, versus maybe where she was actually on her way to, you know what I'm saying? So it's kind of, it's a little bit sad almost.
Well, she is the first lady.
I mean, she is,
gonna
but
be
it
put in a
wouldn't even
microscope
listen.
anyway.
She's
Exactly,
completely.
but because nobody's talking about what President Obama's wearing, though. You know what I'm saying?
Until he wore
make-
that tan-colored suit that he will never wear again.
Or when he went to play golf
And mom jeans.
and mom jeans.
No,
But,
no,
you know,
no one
right.
talked about what
tends
Barbara
to
Bush
be-
was wearing. No one's ever spoke about what Hillary Clinton was wearing. It's been
I
Michelle
really think
Obama
that they
and Jackie
were. We
O.
just weren't paying
People
as much
only
attention.
care about
And
those
Nancy
two.
Reagan. She was
Because
also
she was sharp.
She was very,
I
very sharp.
want to say again, as a 17-year vet, he should have known better because he's on national television. It's not a stand-up act. He's entitled to feel how he feels. However, there are consequences for it. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, if I want to go on the road and crack all the monkey jokes I want to, I can do that, but not as I'm supposed to be a news personality. And I think, again, I'm a little bit older. Back in the day, people just reported the news. They didn't have all this opinion in it. So
all
that's
about
part of the
ratings.
problem.
I wonder if it had been a different thing if he thought that she looked like, I don't know, a canary instead of a monkey being a black woman, you know? Because like you said, black people being compared to apes and monkeys.
Right.
Like, what if he just thought she looked like a canary?
I don't think it would be
That's-
as bad as it is.
That's
now.
good. That's good. I don't think it would be as much flack
Right.
as he's getting right now. Well, do you think he should battle for his job back?
There are people who look animalistic.
I mean,
you know?
Well, let's see, has Rush Limbaugh gotten the job back? Because the same thing happened to him years ago. He was a radio personality.
With the basketball team.
And that hit it.
They just. You remember that? You're like.
I was like, I never.
So do you
And
think?
he had been a veteran for a long time too. Ultimately, they can have the in-your-face personalities, but their real, true thoughts and beliefs are gonna come out. It's gonna come out.
Right.
You can only hide it and hold it for so
But
long.
you have to have enough self-control to know that you don't say every single thing that you think.
I've been controlling myself up here, not saying
Exactly.
everything I want to say.
You haven't
I'm
touched
not
one.
even a 7-year vet. I'm a 7-year vet.
But I
They're
will
on
say
17.
something that I believe sometimes these people are hired for their outspoken opinions.
Exactly.
And
And
they
they
punish them
just
for it.
don't know, the network probably just doesn't always know how far that person's going to go because they will push them to say, you know, we need more personality, we need more this, we need more that, we need you to be funny, we need those ratings. So you have to, it's a fine line to balance, I think.
But so do you think that like the network fired him because what he did was wrong, or because they were concerned about
The
ratings?
backlash.
The backlash.
backlash.
Exactly.
The backlash. Seriously, because if,
Like,
if
we've
no
gotta
one
take
said
a
a word,
stand because
it would have kept going.
Exactly.
They should do the same thing with the police department. But there's a lot of backlash with that, but nothing's happening.
Oh, you're right.
I know.
Well, we're going to go to backlash of a different kind on a fashion sense. Dolce & Gabbana. Several celebrities, including Sharon Stone and Glee and American Horror Story creator Ryan Murphy, have followed Elton John's lead and have spoken out against comments made by the founders of Dolce & Gabbana, who had criticized same-sex parenting, what one of them dubbed synthetic children, conceived via artificial insemination. John, who shares two sons born to a surrogate with his husband, David Furnish, took Instagram on Sunday to slam the remarks. He called for a boycott of their luxury fashion brand. Do you think that was something that Elton John should have started?
I think so. And it's the same thing. Just like Dolce & Gabbana put out how they feel, Elton John recounted with how he felt. So, or countered with how he felt.
Goes back to being a public figure, and you don't say every single thing that you think. Some things you keep to yourself for the sake of your brand. Exactly. And there's a lot of people who said that they won't wear their clothes, and there are a lot of celebrities that said that they will. Like, for instance, Ellen said that she will never wear their clothes ever again. Zoe Saldana said she will wear their clothes, still continue to wear their clothes. But it's so funny, though, because and you're a fashion girl, didn't Dolce & Gabbana also just had, like a couple years ago, had some problems with like taxes and all that stuff? Mm-hmm. You might just want to keep your mouth closed.
Pay your taxes.
Like they're supposed to be in jail right now anyway for like tax evasion. But like, it's like they keep digging themselves deeper and deeper. Like, just shut up and make beautiful clothing.
Which they haven't done in quite some time. So I think they were trying to make themselves relevant because it's not even too many stars that are wearing
Yeah,
Dolce &
but
Gabbana anymore.
making yourself relevant in what way? Because now nobody wants to wear your stuff.
So certain people won't wear their stuff because, like Zoe said, she's got a contract with them anyway.
People will be watching in the fall.
People will be watching in the fall to see what they're doing. It creates a buzz.
Right, and it keeps them on the map. And sometimes derogatory press,
any press,
can transcend to dollars and cents for a lot of people, depending on the brand. But I think that Dolce and Gabbana, I don't think that they should be criticized as hard as people are criticizing them. I mean, because it is about freedom of speech. You know what I'm saying? And I don't have too many pieces of Dolce & Gabbana in my wardrobe, but I'm not looking to go buy any more. But not because they said something like this. But I do have friends that do, same-sex couples who are friends that have kids. And I do, respect how they feel in light of what Dolce & Gabbana has said. So I'm very sensitive about it. But as Pierce Bronson said also, is it Pierce Bronson, the commentator Pierce Morgan. Pierce Morgan. Pierce Bronson's an actor, right?
Yeah, I'm like James Bond. What did James Bond say?
Pierce Morgan said that he thinks that America is not treating Dolce & Gabbana fairly. He says that they are slamming them and or criticizing them harder than they should be criticized for speaking how they really feel.
Again, that sensitive climate that we live in.
Right.
But what's the hard part? I mean, is it because people think that the comment was more towards gay people adopting children, or is it just that people are sensitive about them saying that kids born through in vitro are artificial? Synthetic.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're a parent who had a kid who was born through in vitro, and all that you're going to have to explain to that child of how they came into the world, would you really want that out there, like them to be viewed as like, I'm a synthetic child? Like if you were a parent who had a kid who was
absolutely.
synthetic.
I mean, it was a stupid comment because synthetic isn't the right word.
Right.
I mean, manufactured.
Right.
I think
popsicle kids. That's what Tamer calls it.
Because if they had said they're manufactured children,
mm-hmm.
would the backlash be the same? Because it's the truth. You're manufactured.
Right.
It's the truth. Synthetic is a stupid word because it doesn't even fit the scenario. But is it the word choice, or was it
also the fact that they're gay, and so people
they're manufactured? They made it. It wasn't natural.
Aren't you using sperm and egg though? Still,
you are, but you manufacture it. You're manufacturing it.
Yeah. The two met, so I just.
It was manufactured.
I think if you personally don't want to do something, then don't do it. But I don't think knock other people for it. And I think I'm guessing that a lot of those celebrities that are gay, like Ellen or Elton John, were looking to them who were once a gay couple. They're not together anymore, but they're gay,
right. Mm-hmm.
to basically be the. Not the voice, but the spokespeople, unofficially.
But is this a gay
You're like
thing?
setting us back, you know what I mean? It's like when black people do something and we're like, oh, Lord, you just set the movement way back. Like that Whitney Houston interview with Diane Sawyer. People say things like that.
That wasn't my
But is this a gay thing, or is it a manufactured synthetic kid thing? Is this
I think
vitro
people who
thing?
have kids or potentially want to have kids that way have a problem with it.
But I think for me, it's a matter of opinion.
It is.
If you feel that way, say it. It's what you feel. But know that there may be backlash. Right. So don't cry, throw the rock, and then cry, oh my God. It's crazy. You can't put it out there and not expect it to come back.
Be prepared for
That's
the
just the law of nature.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Well, Dolce & Gabbana, we'll be watching you.
Or not.
Or not.
You're gonna up it.
We have a Bill Cosby update. On our first show, we talked about Bill Cosby. Yeah. And all of the women who have allegedly claimed that he has had sex with them and drugged them, what have you. But there's some news that says that Janice Dickerson and the other model, Beverly Johnson, their stories are not adding up, and they fabricated this story about Bill Cosby. A newly unearthed information suggests that Dickinson recently changed her story about Cosby to include sexual assault allegations. Veteran Hollywood talent manager Dan Gibble represented Johnson in the early 90s. And he also says that he personally knew Dickinson for more than 20 years. And Johnson recently alleged in a Vanity Fair piece that Cosby drugged her at his home in the mid-'80s after serving a cup of cappuccino to her. But he says that he's known her for years and that she told him that when she met with Bill Cosby, and that she only met with him one time and was with Camille, and that they had cappuccino and everything was okay. But now their stories have changed. Did you all expect that?
Yes.
I didn't. I don't know who this guy is, and who's to say that he's telling the truth. I don't know. I wasn't there through any of the alleged incidents, so I can't say if he did or if he didn't. My issue with the whole situation is that there are people jumping on the bandwagon swearing down that he didn't do it, but they don't know Bill Cosby. They know Heathcliff Huxtable. So you can't stand on one side or the other if you weren't there and just vehemently claim one way or the other what it is or what it isn't.
I simply just don't care anymore.
Yeah,
I'll tell you why I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care because, I mean, if something did happen to these women, my heart goes out to them, and that's really sad that happened. But I really don't care because the statute of limitations have run out, and I feel like what's going to happen? We keep talking about this, but what's going to happen more than we talking about it? Right. Like nothing's going to be done. There's no charges being made. There's nobody getting any money from their story or whatever. So
we should act like Bill Cosby and just go silent.
No, actually, I think a lot of people are getting money for their stories.
Are they?
And then the Cosby whole everyone on the show is losing money.
They're losing money.
Right. So a lot is happening, unfortunately. It's sad. I'm hoping that if we continue to talk about it and you've got somebody who's allegedly done all these things.
But are they going to do any investigations?
Well, I don't think there needs to be an investigation. I just think that there needs to be enough people to speak up on his behalf, not because we were there or anything, just because we haven't seen any proof that he did any of these things. There's been no proof, and he's pretty much been prosecuted, executed, and everybody along with him.
I understand I understand not saying anything and just trying, just being like he's not said anything. But sometimes it's like, how long can you go when all this is? I feel like now he should say something. There should be an interview. I don't know, something to defend himself, something, or not. Even if he's not defending himself, something like he's acting like it never happened.
He was going out doing his comedy shows.
Right, he's making reference to them in his comedy shows.
Yeah, he said things.
I think that there's two sides to it. It's like the truth needs no defense. So some things aren't even worth your time. However, when you're a celebrity like that and you're always in our living room for so long, you need to give us something.
But when it's starting to affect your money and people around you, and it's starting to affect your legacy, and it's not just one of those stories that lasted for a week and then we forgot about it, it's still going on. It's like you should come out and say something.
He has said he didn't do it.
Yeah.
What more, does he now have to go through the whole roll call of every single person who's made it? I saw her on this day, didn't do her. Saw her on this day, didn't do her. Saw her on this day, I did her, but I didn't drug her. Like,
I kind of agree with his stance on it. I mean, the route he's going, because how many times can you address a rumor?
But there are some things that are just about the peace of mind of it. I just want to have peace with it, so I'm going to say what I need to say, as long as it's
but he's already said
to
it.
get the peace.
And so maybe he has
Yeah.
peace, and that's why he's not saying anything, because unless one of them take him to court, and it becomes, and he has to sit in court to defend himself, why say anything,
Well, I'll say, for me, there's a reality that when, again, we mentioned the statute of limitations. There's a reality that when you have been molested or raped, people get a sense of arrested development. And when you're going up against somebody as huge and powerful as Bill Cosby, no one's going to believe you. At least that's what you feel. So at some point in your life, you say, you know what? I haven't lived my full life because I've been holding on to this lie. So let me just tell it. I don't care who hears, I don't care who believes, I just need to get it out. I'm not saying it happened, but I understand why a lot of people don't come forward immediately.
But I said that on the other
If you're going
show.
to counseling, that's my, tell it that way. You know,
Yeah.
This is not therapeutic, I don't believe, to
Or
go out.
say it in a way to help somebody else.
Exactly. Like, it doesn't seem like that's the route that's being taken. And I'm not saying that it happened or didn't. I'm just saying that if it did, it's 20 years later, deal with it, like, in some way, shape, or form.
I think, what is your purpose now for coming out saying it?
Exactly.
What is your goal?
I think the healing for a lot of people. I think it's if it happens.
You would heal.
All those women, it happened to me, and it happened to all those women. It's now giving me the courage to come out and say it. Also,
for instance,
it's the healing of it now.
I'll say, if Alvin was some big, huge person, I'm sorry, you know what I meant. He molested me. He molested you. You're trying to become a star, and he holds all the cards. You keep quiet, and then I finally come up and say, you know, he did X, Y, and Z, and you say, oh, that happened to me. Now someone will believe me because someone else is telling my story.
Yeah.
You know, so
why does it have to be public, though?
Exactly.
Why does it have to be public? Because you can go to a group, you can tell your therapist, you can go to a support group, you can have all kinds of things, but for it to be public.
That's why my question is, what is your motivation by telling us?
I think, me personally, I think it's individual. Everybody doesn't feel comfortable in therapy or whatever. Some people just need to get it out. And this, in this arena that we live in now, where everything is so instant on social media, let me just get it
Everybody
out.
wants to be famous. Everybody wants to be popular.
That's a part of it too.
Yeah.
I don't have time to I can't afford a social worker. I don't want to sit in the room with these crazy people. I can sit in front of someone who I've watched on TV all the time. I feel comfortable with them because they're a spokesperson or a news anchor or whatever. So I can just tell my story.
And get some money.
I mean, they're different. I'm not saying that's the only way. They're just different sides to that.
I want to start a petition to the networks. The Cosby Show needs to be back on TV. They need to bring it back into rotation because kids need to see that. It was a great show.
Well, like Bobby Christina, we're going to pray for Bill Cosby, and we're going to hope that this comes to an end at some point. We reached the segment of our show that we call I Speak, and this gives our panel an opportunity to throw something out, and we're gonna talk about it. So I'm gonna have Riley. Would you like to start us off today, Riley? Would you like to do that?
Mine is kind of a rant, as it was on the last show too. Isn't it a rant? Yeah.
It's always a rant.
It's always a rant.
It's a rant.
So my I Speak is, so we just had here in DC, we just had all the snow and all the ice and the salt and all the stuff. Has anyone else noticed that all the streets have all these potholes and my question is, when are they ever going to get fixed? Like, are we going to be in November still bumping down the road, you know? And then it's just, I didn't even know this happened. And I just happened to be in the car and I just thought to myself, why is everything so bumpy? And I thought it must be, and then someone told me that it's because of all the snow and the ice. Is anybody else pissed off about that?
Pothole-palooza started today.
What is Pothole-palooza?
Pothole-palooza is when the city, it's a name that the city gave to going around and fixing all the potholes. And they usually do it within 72 hours around the city, but Pothole-palooza this year is 24 hours. And so tomorrow, you're not supposed to see a pothole in D.C.
And it's happening today. And that was my rant, and I didn't even know that.
It's happening today. So
my color.
Pothole-palooza. So you put it in the atmosphere.
Well, there you go.
It's the worst thing because I drive a little
back.
car, so I have to avoid. I don't have a car that I can actually bully potholes. So I'm in a little bitty car, so I have to go around every pothole because with my little tire, I could flip over. I'm like in a wheelie or endo, I don't know. So I have to go around them, and I'm always worried about getting tickets.
I mean, they have the money to do it. They get all these tickets from us.
Yeah, so
that's why I had to rant, because I thought, like,
you got all the money. I fixed the streets.
And check this out.
They should be done like less than 24 hours.
Check this out. I don't even drive. I don't even drive. I take car service everywhere.
Tomorrow we will call each other saying that DC is pothole free tomorrow.
Pothole-palooza.
Pothole-palooza is working.
It's effective.
How about you, Eric? You want to put something on the table for I Speak?
My I Speak is Black Lives Matter, and it does not deal with just cops killing random black boys on the street or black girls on the street. My thing is, if we really say that Black Lives Matter, how you feel matters. I need to take care of all of you, not just, I need to be respectful of you, not just about your life being taken. If your life is here and your life matters, I need to take care of all of you while you're here.
All right.
All right. All right.
Shayna.
Oh my God, that was so heavy.
But you know
So
what?
I'll lighten it up.
matters. Black lives matter.
I'll lighten it up because I need help. So I was in church this Sunday, and I didn't really realize it until my mom watches me in church online. It's creepy, but I'm glad she does it. So
Streaming.
The person behind me apparently was having a fit of some sort, and the spirit had touched the person. So I'm sitting in my seat, and I just feel something brushing across my neck, and I'm just sitting there, and then I look, and then she's like doing this dance, and she's getting it in hard. So then I feel that I have to get up to get out of her way because I was not certain what was going to happen. So my mom says, I saw the look you gave her. She said, and I know me, I must have looked back but I didn't think that I should have known the camera was on me because she's behind me doing a dance. So Mom said, I know you well enough to know what was going on. She said, you tried to keep it together. So my question is, what do you do when you know it's going down behind you and you're afraid you're going to get hit in the back of the head?
I would react the same way you did.
I would turn around and look just to make sure that I'm not being hit and that the person doesn't fall.
Well, being that I'm a member of
See, I would get the church giggles.
I'm a Pentecostal. I'm a Pentecostal man, so I see that all the time. When that happens, my suggestion to you is to, if you know that it's happening, to move if you can. Just to move.
Get out the way.
And just to get out of the way. Watch your facial expression because I have some too. But watch them, and that's my advice. Just move. And let the Spirit take over and do what they came to get, because they came to get what they're doing. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to end our show for today. We thank you for being here and watching. We thank our studio audience. We really do appreciate you. And until we see you again, take care when next we speak. Thank you.